Hi everybody, my name is Jeremy, this is Red Means Recording, and welcome to my video wrapping up my 2021 top 10 videos that I made, and also I thought it might be kind of fun to tell you my top 10 existential dreads while we went through it, because man, my brain has been just harping on that lately. Just chock full of the existential dread, because I don't know, why do brains do this? Pretty dumb, honestly. Before we get started, I thought also I'd let you know that my microphone isn't floating. I know some of you have asked about that. It's just on an arm here. It's just on an arm. You can't see the arm. This year has been wild for me on YouTube. It's been weird. Every video I put out, I feel weird about in some way or another. I feel like I'm never doing what I should be doing. I feel like most of my content is like super self-indulgent, and I don't really know why people watch it. Like I put out a video and I'm like, who would watch this? There are a few exceptions, like the educational videos. I put a lot of work into those and I'm very proud of those. But all the, like the gear demos where I'm just showing off like a piece of gear, like I don't care. Like, and I guess maybe I feel like other people don't care too. I don't expect like a bunch of comments saying, oh, we do care. Like, please don't do that. I'm just saying that like, that's where my brain has been lately. Part of this has to do with the platform itself. Like YouTube is a very weird place to be a creator. In some ways, we are able to connect with people in a way that is more potent than any other platform, I think. And people that flourish under that environment do really well here. I came here as a musician and someone who really felt strongly about making music and loved it, and then fell into this thing where I had to become a content creator. I still don't really know what that means. I'm developing an idea, and I think for next year I'm going to be focusing more on educational content, but I don't really know. I mean, it's really hard to tell because like, on one hand, you want to put out something that doesn't seem low effort and that contributes to the world in a cool way. And the other hand, like the platform is like, hey, you should put something out every week. It's really easy to just like film a bunch of stuff that is sort of like stopgap content, and you're sitting there like, oh, well, I'll put this out. And then like, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like some dumb little thing. And then YouTube is like, hey, no one's watching this. Did you know that no one's watching this? Like your viewers don't care about this video. It's like the first stat you see when you upload a video. It's really wild. So yeah, it's been a lot of a sort of like imposter syndrome kind of stuff, a lot of anxiety regarding like what I'm doing here, what my relevancy is, and what it means to go forward on this platform that I have tied directly to my livelihood. Good times. Good times in the old brain. But to offset all that, I kind of wanted to go back through the videos that I had made for this year and tell you about some that I was really, really happy with. They're not all on this channel. In fact, a bunch of them are on the second channel. We'll see how many we get through. I'm just going to go in order from the beginning of this year to what we have now. The playlist is linked in the description if you want to check these out. So the first video that I'm really, really happy with from this year is called 3 Morphogene Custom Reel Performances. And this was one that I had made a bunch of Morphogene reels on a video with people talking about how to, make stuff that would work well in Morphogene. And then I went over there and I performed with it. And 3 of those tracks, all 3 of them, ended up on the Rumspringa album that I put out. And that's always a really good sign. Like if the music that you make for a YouTube video is worth releasing as a part of an album. That used to be like pretty much all I did, like especially when I was doing the OP1 videos, but it's a little rarer now. I mean, I'm making more music than ever, but it's all sort of like, it's not low effort, but it's just different, and it's not quite as the event as it used to be. So tracks that I made that ended up on the final album of the year, Rumspringa, it's a really, really good sign, and I'm really still proud of these. I go back and I listen to them as part of the album all the time. So yeah, that's the first one that I was happy with this year. What's an existential dread fear to go with that? I'm really afraid of getting hit by a car. I don't know when it started. Maybe because I used to like bike around all over the place when I was a kid, and then worked as a bike messenger for like 5 or 6 years. But I'm terrified of getting hit by a car. Like every single time I cross the road, I think that a car is going to appear out of nowhere and hit me. And unfortunately, drivers here in Seattle continually prove that fear like not unfounded, because holy moly do they suck here. Instruments mutable. 2 bits on my Cuban wave rocket polyphonic. 512 right, the next video that I was super happy with is called Bees. Bees was presented as a just like a music performance video on the Machine Plus. I don't know why I made it. It turned out to be a very silly track, but also kind of a banger. And it was just really, really fun to throw myself at a device like I used to and, you know, make something. I didn't film the process at all. I went through the process later in another video, but this is one of those things where it's just like, hey, I'm going to enjoy the process of making a piece of music. And it got released as a single, so, you know, that's a good sign. Also, just to kind of have fun with something, like the lyrics are ridiculous. It's all just like stuff that I went to Modular Grid and just like read names off of modules like in alphabetical order. So that was kind of fun. Existential fear to go with that. I am really, really very conscious of the fact that at the very best, I am halfway through with my life on this earth. At 42, if I live to 80, I'll be surprised. And it's just wild to think that like all this time has passed, and I think back to like all the stuff that I've done and what it's actually added up to, like what it means to be here with everything that I've done, and like how much of it was just kind of like fucking around. I know everybody has to find their own path through stuff and you have to make mistakes. But at the same time, it's just crazy to think that like, okay, well, maybe I have like 20, 30 years left. Like, what's that going to be like? I have no idea. No one knows what that's going to be like for themselves personally. We have no idea. So yeah, that's definitely not something that keeps me up at night, I promise. Thanks, brain. Okay, so the next video that I was pretty proud of is my New York Modular Society full performance video. This isn't the first modular performance video that I did, and not the first like live modular performance that I did of the year or ever, but it is like the third or fourth, and it is the culmination of all of the stuff that I like first learned about modular performance. So I built this big monster, like, you know, Frankenstein rack out of all this stuff, and really dove into how to perform, at least in that particular genre. The stuff on that ended up going onto an album called Cast in Amber, so that was the first release of the year. And it was as much of a proof of concept as it was, you know, an exercise in making music. Like, it was just like such a technical thing to overcome, and I'm really, really proud of it. I'm proud that I got to perform it a few times, because that's a very new thing to me. I haven't performed music at all, like this kind of music, like up until a year ago, and it's really, really cool to have been able to do that for people and have them like it. Like, it's a great feeling, and I was hoping that 2022 is going to be more of that. We'll see. I have no idea. Like, it's impossible to really know what's going to happen in 2022. What's the next existential fear to go with that? How's a good one? I'm terrified of like just completely losing relevance. It's really easy to get stuck in your own bubble of your head, and especially when you start putting yourself out there as somebody who interacts with an audience, either as a musician or an artist or just a YouTuber, whatever the fuck that means. Like, relevance is the only thing that keeps you afloat, being relevant in some way in the field that you have decided to participate in. And it's really easy to get in a bubble and not move outside of it, or just sort of go down a path that nobody really cares about anymore. Like, there are musicians that I know that have put out like really amazing first albums and then like nothing good after that. And they like this just one of those like lightning in a bottle situations, and especially, you know, with YouTube being sort of the exhausting process that it is, the treadmill, coming up with content that maybe you are not like super happy with, but like you want to put it out there because you need to keep the feed going. It's like you have a very, very strong chance of diluting your relevance because you're not focusing on just what you want to do. But at the same time, if you focus on just what you want to do, then you run the risk of becoming too esoteric or iconoclastic to really like connect with people anymore. Really, like, the best case scenario is that you find a good feedback loop where you're able to challenge yourself, but also have a good feedback loop with an audience and have that connection go back and forth. And I'm not sure if I'm there. This is unfortunately a very one-sided process, and I'm very grateful to have the success here that I do. But at the same time, I'm literally sitting in a room talking to a camera right now, like all on my own. Like that's what this is really like. So yeah, it's just a weird place to be.
You're feeling nervous, you're having fun. It's almost over, it's just begun. You overthink this, look in my eye. Don't be scared, don't be shy. Come on in, the water's fine.
Speaking of parasocial relationships, the next video that I was really, really proud of was my cover of Bo Burnham's Hands Up, All Eyes on Me. I'm sure a good deal of my audience has seen the Bo Burnham Inside special. It was kind of a big deal when it came out, and in a way, it represents the culmination of the parasocial in every respect. Like literally, like it was a voyeuristic parasocial thing where he made himself as, quote unquote, vulnerable as possible and gave us this thing that we responded to in a variety of ways. But to me, it was the artistry, the way that it was created on a very small scale to have a big impact. And I'm not an idiot. Like, I know it was constructed. I know that it wasn't just this like thing that happened, but at the same time, I couldn't help but be moved by it. And for me, Hands Up, All Eyes on Me was one, a song that to me represented the sort of like nadir, that emotional context, that emotional issue of being separated from reality. There's a lot of cues in the video itself that speak to it not being really part of the real flow of what's happening in the special, which is pretty clever, honestly. So I did a cover of it with the system that's to my left here. It was the culmination of a lot of techniques that I had already practiced, but all coming together. And also I got to kind of like flex on some video production skills as well. It was a high effort production for me, considering that like I can sit down and knock out a video on a module in an afternoon. This thing took like a week to practice and make happen. Yeah, it was a fun project. Let's see, what's a good existential fear to go with that? I keep on wondering what the first thing about my body or mind that will go like first. Like, what will be the first thing that will fail in me? Brains are hard to judge personally because like it's really other people that can tell whether or not you're being cognitively impaired by some form of like dementia or maybe early onset Alzheimer's. But body stuff's pretty easy to tell like when it's going wrong. So, what secret genetic time bomb do I have? Will it be cancer? If so, like what kind? Will I start to like lose my strength, just like to do daily tasks? Like what will it be like to get older from this point? And how much entropy do I have to fight against as I get older? There will be a point where I will not be able to fight certain types of entropy, and that terrifies me. But I guess I'll just keep trying and see, how long I can make it. In the same vein as the Bo Burnham video that I did, the Ned Rush set that I did, I'm really proud of. That's the next video in this list. Again, same system, but with this one, it was all improvised, and it was my first set improvised live doing vocals. And that was a lot of fun. It was for Ned Rush's like More Kicks Than Friends streaming thing. So, you can go check that out. There was a lot of really, really cool performances. 2021 for me was really the year of like, wow, I can perform music. Like I can do this. And I have proof of concept in it, like in a couple different ways, which I'm really, really excited about. Hopefully in 2022, getting a chance to do more of that, because I'm finding that that is the reason why all this stuff exists in this room. It's very easy for me to make music. Like I can make a piece of music that I can release, and it's the live stuff that I feel like takes that to another level. That's where it actually starts to make sense as to why I would be doing this, as opposed to just sort of like wanking off in here with a bunch of blinking lights. An existential fear to go with that. I worry sometimes that like, while I think that I'm really sort of like even keeled and like sort of a nice person to be around, that actually I'm kind of like abrasive while I'm trying to be my best. And I feel like inside of myself that I'm being sort of a nice person, or that I'm being like chill, like putting out chill energy that like I'm actually like, people are like, dude, what was going on with that guy? Like, why was he talking like that? Like, he was saying some pretty off-color stuff, shit like that. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult to know how you come across to other people, especially when you spend a lot of time in your own head, which I do. So yeah, I'd always worry that like what I think I'm putting out there is not what I'm putting out there. Next video on the list is my wavestate.tv video. The Korg Wavestate is a really wild piece of kit. I got that and the ModWave this year, and well, the ModWave is very, very approachable, and it's very easy to make sort of like cool synth sounds on it and add samples to it. The Wavestate is very inscrutable, and I wanted to do a video showing off what it sounds like because I love it. It's like the PCM sample library is like 4 gigs like large. It's a crazy synth that has like workstation vibes, and I really, really like those old 90s workstations and stuff like that. But it's really hard to program. So I wanted to show it off, and I wanted to do a video similar to what I did with the Op 6, where I played stuff and put movie footage underneath to show off sort of the cinematic nature of what it could do, especially with the Wavestate, because that thing is a soundtrack machine. So I picked my favorite presets and just sort of improvised a bunch of stuff, and then I found movie footage that I thought would fit it. And I don't know, like as somebody who always was like, oh, it'd be fun to do movie or video game soundtracks, it was kind of like a very indulgent project that I was really, really happy with, because in the end, I kind of got to do that. Like, I don't know, it was kind of fun. Is it weird that I'm running out of existential dreads? Christmas is always such a weird time. Like, it's always been a weird time for me. My family is like scattered through various means, mostly like multiple divorces across like the entire country. And all of them are sort of in their own little like worlds where they've kind of like tried to rebuild their family or their like existence. And I don't really know like how to relate to any of them. So I'm always sort of in this weird mental space and emotional where like, you know, birthdays or Christmases and stuff like that come around, and I have nowhere to go with family. Like, I don't have a family to connect with. They're all over the place, and they're all kind of doing their own thing. So I don't really know how to put this into like existential dread terms, but it's like, I feel very disconnected from the concept of family, and even with friends. Like, you know, usually when you have a family that is like not really like something you connect with a created family of friends. Through the last year or so, I guess because of COVID, I haven't had that either. So there's just been this like big disconnect between the concept of socialization and family. And I'm not really sure how to fix that because there's like an inertia to it that I can't overcome. I feel like I'm going to have a point at which I'm going to like see these people that I should care about slowly disappear from the world, and I will have never really spent enough time with them because of the way that life separated us all and scattered us, not only physically, but also like emotionally. That's like, there's just nothing I can do about it. It's just fucking weird. Next up on the list is banging on the Norand Mono just for you. The Norand Mono is a really cool monophonic synthesizer. It's a little analog sort of 303 synthesizer, but with like a really like performance-oriented and modulation-oriented setup. It's really good, like really, really fun to play on, and it sounds massive. As somebody who like has tried 303s before, I hate the programming on them, but I really like the sound, especially having grown up like being just mystified by the way that 303s sounded. So getting this thing and running it through its paces, and then being like, look, I can perform with this, grabbing a drum machine, grabbing a sampler, and just banging out a set of like high energy dance music with it. That's when I'm happiest, is when I can like perform like something that like, you know, takes like 30 or 40 minutes. I'm like, wow, that's like a substantial amount of of stuff that you just did. You know, this could be an EP. And also, again, like I said before, like it speaks to like the performance stuff. It's really, really fun. I think it's a really, really great way to take like all the stuff I've learned about music and then finally like really deploy it in a real situation, one that actually has like stakes, which is cool to me. I really, really like that. I'm going to not add an existential dread to that one because I think I'm running out of them. So I just kind of want to move on. I don't want this video to be like all existential dread, even though that's probably what the title for this video is. The next video that I'm pretty proud of is the ARP 2600M experience. One of the things that happens when you're asked to participate in a product launch is that you have to figure out a way to make a video that matters, I guess. There are people that are extremely good at going through all the features of a synthesizer or a piece of gear and showing them all off, like just being very thorough in explaining how a piece of gear works. I'm not really like that. I can do it, but I think I much prefer making music with something or combining the two. So with the ARP 2600, I decided to make like 4 or 5 tracks, multi-tracking it, and it was a lot of work. It took a lot more time than I thought it would. I think I worked on that video for about a week, but it's an example of that sort of more high effort content that I really, really enjoyed. What's it at right now? It doesn't have the amount of views that I would hope for the amount of work that I put into it, which is one of the things that kind of sucks about YouTube, is that like you never know exactly what the algorithm is going to like show your subscribers, or whether or not if you release something on launch day, if the algorithm will favor another content creator's videos over yours, so therefore yours won't get shown in like search feeds and stuff. It's really weird and really not fun. But that said, I guess the only way to really get over that is to make something that you're really proud of, and not necessarily worry about like how it compares to other people's videos. So I'm really happy with that one. That was a lot of fun to put together, and it really forced me to learn the ARP 2600 in a way that made me fall in love with it. And now it's one of my main instruments in the studio, which I'm really, really happy with. Existential dread to go with that. I have like a weird thing about like looking at my body. Like when I get out of the shower, one of the first things I do is like I put on a t-shirt before I get in front of the mirror because I don't want to see my body. I'm really sort of weirdly like ashamed of it, which is odd because I spend a lot of time exercising, but I'm sure those two like go together. I'm very uncomfortable with my physicality, with my like body itself. I generally have a lot of like body anxiety. Just being physical causes anxiety in me. I know it's probably a brain chemistry thing, but the problem with brains is that separating what's like a chemical thing from like what's an emotional or reality thing is very much difficult to do. I know that mindfulness is a way that you can get over that, or like practice to get over that. But ultimately, what our chemicals do up here and how we see the world are inextricably linked. And for me, that has always been like a very, very heavy sense of being uncomfortable in my body, to the point where like I'm kind of like ashamed of it existing. I don't really have a solution to that. Even all the exercise I do won't help me like feel not ashamed from it. But yeah, it's just a weird thing that I go through that I just was recently realizing that you know, seems to fit here pretty well. This is a really fucking weird video, isn't it? I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to make this. Sorry. Floating microphone. I'm going to lump these last two in with each other and leave this on a positive note, if that's possible. The last two videos that I am most proud of that I made this year, probably the highest level of proudness, are So You Want to Make a Sound, which is an introduction to sound design, and a mostly thorough guide to learning how to make electronic music. I have been teaching lessons online for the last 2 years now, and not only have I hopefully taught a lot, but I have learned a lot about how people learn about music and where they seem to all stumble on. And I'm slowly trying to address these as full videos on my channel because they're so universal as conflicts and as hangups for people when they're trying to make music that I feel like they're worth talking about. So You Want to Make a Sound was my attempt to break down sound design into a way that you can think about it from a fundamental level. The sine wave and what that means, and then moving from there. And then the Mostly Thorough Guide to Learning Electronic Music is sort of the culmination of everything that I have been talking to people about over the last 2 years to get them in a headspace to actively participate in things like listening to music and researching music and just immersing themselves in music in such a way they feel really comfortable deploying those skills in their own music. This is the kind of content that I would really like to continue making in 2022. We'll see how it goes. No promises, but since these are the top of my list, it obviously means that I like making that kind of content, and they landed pretty well in terms of analytics, so that's a nice little bonus, right? I'm sure the moment I turn off this camera, I will have about 10 more existential dreads to share with you, but I think I've shared quite a bunch and probably quite enough over the course of this video. Weird one. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes you just got to do something weird, and that's what this video is. It's going to be 2022 very, very soon. I hope that everybody is doing okay, and I know that 2022 is not looking good so far. Nothing has slowed down. Everything is still on fire, and there is no sign that it's going to get better. And maybe that's part of the reason that I decided to sit here and talk to you about some of my deepest fears, because there's no way that we're all just yeah, things are cool. And maybe sharing this kind of thing with you and will help you feel I don't know, you're not alone, that all of us are kind of messed up in one way or another. What to do with that? I don't know. Adopt a kitten, pet it, tell it it's good, pour your love into something, be nice to people. I'm not really sure. It's going to be a wild one next year. That said, I am very grateful that I have a chance to talk to you parasocially and make these weird bleep bloop videos for you. It's a cool thing, and I'd be a liar if I said that it wasn't cool. So I don't really know how to end this video. That's it. Go watch some of these videos. I've actually linked some more ones too, because there's a bunch of performance videos on the second channel that I'm really, really proud of. Thanks for watching. I hope you're well. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Beans Recording, and I hope you have a wonderful day.